I'm Adriana de Souza Silva, and well, my area of research is basically, I think there are two major trends to my research. One that looks into how people use mobile technologies like cell phones and PDAs, wireless devices, but specifically location-based technologies, which are technologies that, or cell phones that know where you are, and how the use of these technologies influence the way we experience spaces, and especially urban spaces, how we communicate with each other in these spaces, and how people perceive their cities differently. The other side of my research, I actually am looking into how low-income communities, they appropriate technology, and specifically the use of technologies in the developing world. So I'm originally from Brazil, and so part of my research I've been doing a series of interviews with people who live in slums in Rio to kind of see how they use cell phones and how it's different from other developed countries, and how social and economic factors influence their use of technology. So this is kind of the general area of my research, and I generally teach classes that deal with internet and society or mobile communication, and also game studies. Part of my research is on location-based games. So basically, when I was doing my PhD, I was thinking that I was going to look into the design of virtual worlds, or how people socialize with each other online. So how to design virtual worlds for sociability. Today you have things like Second Life, but before you had environments like MUDs and MOOCs, were basically textual environments that people would, meet other people. And so when graphic interfaces became popular, one of the things that I started thinking about is how to design modeled spaces or computer worlds that would facilitate this kind of interaction. So I was doing this research in Brazil, where I started my PhD, and then I went to UCLA to work in the design and study in the design media arts department. And one day there I was talking to my advisor, Victoria Vesna. She was the chair of the design media arts department. And I was describing my research and talking about the designing environments for cyberspace. And she looked at me and said, well, don't you think this word cyberspace is something from the 90s? It's already outdated. Because today, when you have all these devices like cell phones that allow you to connect to the internet while walking around, how does that change the way we connect to the internet, right? That you're not just sitting in front of a screen and sitting statically, but you're actually walking around and connected everywhere you go. And then I started actually thinking about it. I was like, well, yeah, maybe what we're looking at is this change of interface than the way we connect online. We're not static in front of a computer anymore. We're walking around and experiencing this connectivity everywhere we go. So how does changing from a fixed to a mobile interface kind of also changes the way, first of all, one, we experience the internet, and second, the way we interact with other people, right? Both in physical spaces and in digital spaces. And actually that led to the idea that physical and digital spaces are not separate from each other anymore, right? They are kind of intertwined, and that's why I came up with the idea of hybrid spaces. So when I got here to NC State, there was mostly one class that was not one of the core classes that I could teach. That was Internet and Society. And basically, I've been teaching that course. I taught already 5 or 6 times. And it is kind of a survey. It's a 400 level course, and it's a survey of internet use. So I really like to see things from a historical perspective. So in that course, we start looking at the history of computers as interfaces, and so how personal computers emerged as, the mouse, the keyboard, the screen. I mean, who invented these interfaces, the graphic user interface, and then the internet, look at the history of the internet. So we get to the idea of sociability online, and how people start communicating with each other online through chat, email, and virtual worlds. So I think this would be one of the major applications, that there is a vast field to be covered still, because it's still beginning and people don't really know how to use this or how to develop applications. So I think we need to develop tools that enable teachers and professors to be able to create their own location-based experiences and engage students in doing that. The idea is that students, they can exert their creativity too in creating things that are kind of also practical, not just writing papers, which they have to write to in my class a lot, but they have to do both.